In its whitewashed churches and aromatic hop fields, Bavaria is as conventional and prudent as it is successful. It was as well the at first halt for largest of the human beings who include desired refuge in Germany. 3 years following the asylum seeker meltdown, the question of migrating there yet drowns out all the other. It is breakdown period at the weak gang experience in the city of Ebensburg. The talk would not be piece of music to Angela Merkel's ears. The discussion is on policy at the highest standard, says Trombone Florian. Yet for us he's a really pragmatical issue of seamless integration. How do you incorporate 150 refugees in Ebensburg? Bavaria goes to the polls in the fall, and in the scenic country the oil seed of uprising, put behind in 2015, include eventually blown in a complete blown rebellion. How could give downward Angela Merkel's by the government, and maybe, though the chancellor herself. Since one man has never pardoned Chancellor Angela Merkel for her judgment in September 2015 to take thousands of migrants who were captured in Budapest, while the Magyar by the government rejected to let them keep the nation. Afraid a human meltdown, she provisionally hanging EU migrating regulation or, in making so, in impact outdoor Germany's doors. Horst Seehofer, now her stormy interior design secretary and lead of her Bavarian sibling side the Believer Public Association, CSU, is using his vengeance common cold. His judgment to assault the chancellor on migrating was outwardly synchronized to correspond in the work up to the fall voice. The distant right against migrant side has his CSU associate nervously looking above their shoulders. But it has as well lobbed the policy counterpart of a shell in Mrs. Merkel's awfully sensitive coalition by the government, hardly 100 days ancient. September 2015, on Chancellor Merkel producing in thousands captured in Hungary, it was a error how will pursue us for a length period. I don't see any opportunity to get the tube behind in the bottling. February 2016, at the time we do not include a law and procedure position. Disturbance reigns high. March 2018, on take up his job as Interior Design Secretary, Islamic does not own to Germany. Angela Merkel after disagrees. June 2018, if down there is no Europe decision, we will include to act popularly. If the Chancellor succeeds in conclusion a Europe decision, not one will be happier rather than me. It may yet blow up in Mr. Seehofer's person. Adoption ratings published in a survey on Monday found how Bavarian are more than happy in Angela Merkel rather than the CSU lead. And Mr. Seehofer's campaigning appears to include corrupt his side. Were the Bavarians poll to be detained currently, the CSU would miss its present total most in the provincial parliament and would include to search a coalition affiliate. He's horrible news story for Markus Söder, the CSU Bavarian's main secretary, told to be one of the drive forces in the assault on Angela Merkel. His adoption ranking, as well now lot under how of the Chancellor. Maybe unsurprisingly the CSU is now deployment a quite more than reconciliatory color in elder side members, openly emphasizing the significance of the association among his side and Mrs. Merkel's CDU. For currently, although, Mr. Seehofer's risk yet stands. If Mrs. Merkel doesn't go behind of the 1 week's EU summit conference in a Europe immigrant policy, same will act unilaterally or, in straight disobedience of the Chancellor, rotate human beings off of the Deutsche boundary if they include desired refuge in another place in the EU at first. Or, so the thought goes there, Mrs. Merkel will include to bag him for such a disobedience. At that spot the CDU/CSU association fails and the building of cards collapses, take the Tsarina downward in it. In the meanwhile, Mrs. Merkel is making several waiting control of her their own, declaring how such a outcome is hardly. Her side is over her, for currently. So are her coalition partners the Public Democrats, though their supporting is less than on save Mrs. Merkel's policy leather rather than avoiding the terror of a crisp poll. Newest polls include them yearning at about 18%, dangerously shut to creature overtaken by AfD as Germany's other greatest side. He's perhaps a slight previous to foresee her inevitable policy death. But lot depends on the EU summit conference. in several respects, although, Horst Seehofer has maybe reached which he set out to reach. Mrs. Merkel's weak national stance, discreet by the dispute factions during her coalition, is laid down openly, humiliatingly naked. Though immigrant numbers to Germany fall considerably, the question dominates the national order of business, and the Chancellor is creature-spurred to always stricter policies. In renovated strength she is searching the Europe decision she has been promised for years. On the end of Ebensburg put a hurriedly built asylum-seeker household. Amongst such who lived down there for 3 years is a youthful Afghani named Sami, who says he no much longer feels greed. He wants to begin a lifetime. I would say to Angela Merkel how the refugees who came to Germany were complete of expect, he says. Or I wish her to recall which she told in the start. She told we were permitted to go, she must do certainly now how we can remain. But Sami is residing in a area how likes to be heard. Angela Merkel may yet dancing to Bavaria's melody.